What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to Saw Sports. I'm your host, Honcho. If you're not familiar with Saw Sports is a Houston, Texas homer network. Means we're talking all sports, but only Houston, the freshest flavor in H-Town sports. If you want the rest of that H-Town talk, make sure you go to Saw Sports TV and subscribe. But here we primarily talk Texans, and today we're going to get into a very interesting conversation. Been a lot of stuff going on with the rumors about Clowney getting traded and who's responsible, why, and what's going on, the reason behind that. But I think it all centers around Bill Obrien, and I want to talk about who is the real Bill Obrien. The Texans have had a completely different culture since he's arrived. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. We're on the way to 5K. I think about 4 or 5 away from that. Become a fresh ingredient. Hit that subscribe button for the best takes in Houston Texans conversation, every day. But again, I'm gonna give you 5 very interesting facts, 5 very interesting records that Bill Obrien holds, or his personal records that he holds. And we're gonna try to determine who is the real Bill Obrien. With that being said, hey, let's get into the first one right now. All right, the first thing we want to look at is we want to take a glimpse at Bill O'Brien's all-time record. He currently stands at 42-38 after 5 years of coaching, going into year 6. And most people say, hey, well, it's a winning record. It's a good record. And, it's hard to win games. And any given Sunday, anything can happen. Me personally, I was not very anti-Bill O'Brien until the end of last season. I thought he was a capable coach. But if you kind of go back and you look through this record, well, where did he accumulate most of these wins? Mostly against teams under 500 and in the AFC South when it was considered one of the worst divisions in the NFL. Now it's a bit of a stronger division, and so it's not as easy to get the wins. We saw some of the things that happened last year, and then you could say, hey, well, a big chunk of them came when he lost to Sean Watson. Well, you had Tom Savage as a backup, which is a guy that he wanted. And he didn't prepare for anything, just in case a contingency plan, just in case something happened. These are the guys that he puts on the field. He's responsible for that. If he would have got the wins, you give him credit for the wins. You take the losses, he gets credit for those losses. But again, a winning record in the NFL is a winning record. 3 playoff appearances. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But I want to talk about the next record, which is extremely interesting. And this is a record that a lot of people like to focus on. And I think, again, it's the tale of 2 stories. But let's go ahead and get into the second record of Bill O'Brien's that we need to really pay attention to determine who is the real Bill Obrien. Let's get into that right now. Now, this record of Bill Obrien is extremely interesting, a very commendable record. When going into halftime of a game with a lead, he is 32-2 all time. That's commendable. Again, no matter who you're playing, no matter who you're going against, the ability to maintain and hold a lead is respectable. Ben tends to get a little bit more conservative when he takes a lead. He said 1,000 times that to him it's not about running up the score. It's about, having one more point than the opponent when the game is over with. Now, that type of play style can be dangerous, but so far so good. When he has a lead, when he can jump out early, not come to a slow start in the beginning of games, and he can jump out early, it's almost a guaranteed win for the Houston Texans. And again, that's a commendable trait. That's something that you have to respect. But now the next stat we're going to get into is extremely interesting because it almost goes hand in hand with this. And so let's go ahead and get into the third record of Bill O'Brien's that we need to pay attention to so we can determine who is the real Bill Obrien. So, speaking of halftime leads, well, what about halftime when he's tied up or down? What is Bill O'Brien's ability to come back and secure the win? Well, Bill Obrien is 10-37 when it comes to losing at halftime. So just as amazing as the other record is, this is just as bad. And I'm going to show you the 10 teams here that he came back against. And you can kind of determine for yourself what kind of situation it was in. Again, not a situation where you came back on the best of the best. You can talk about quarterbacks that he's had. You can talk about the roster. Again, this guy's been here 6 years. A lot of these decisions that we think are terrible tend to be decisions that he's made. These are guys that he's wanted. And we're starting to see more and more that I think early on we didn't realize because the Texans were so talented. Now we go, oh, he was forced to have this or he's forced to have that. A lot of these quarterbacks, a lot of these guys, a lot of these players that are on these rosters are guys that he's wanted. We're starting to see his personality the more that it permeates this organization. So you see those 10 guys or those 10 teams and you say, well, very interesting. There weren't really great teams, no real great teams on that list. So it tells you, well, where is he? I mean, what is he like when it comes to competing against, the better competition? If he's going into the halftime when he's down, it's not likely that Bill O'Brien is going to bring the team back. But let's get into a fourth record of Bill O'Brien's that I think tells even more about the type of coach that Bill O'Brien is. Who is the real Bill O'Brien? We're going to find out. Now, this next statistic, shout out to Rivers McCown. He posted this in an article. The links will be in the description below, and also the links to the previous stat, if you want that, will be in the description below. So make sure you check that out. Bill O'Brien, when giving up 22 or more points, is a whopping 4-32. Now, I'm going to show you the teams in which this took place against. And again, this is very descriptive of where Bill O'Brien stands in the category of head coach when it comes to the NFL. Is he a top tier coach? Is he a bottom feeder? Is he a mid-level coach? And I think that we focus a lot on the good. If you're only watching the Houston Texans broadcast, they're going to give you the best stats. ESPN, they're going to give you the best stats. They don't demean their players, their coaches, or the broadcast, they don't. So let me rephrase that. But 22 or more points. This guy's supposed to be a quarterback guru, right? Quarterback is the guy that gets the ball in the end zone for the most part. And yet, we know him to be extremely conservative. We know he loves the run game. He kind of has an archaic method of playing this game. And doesn't put up a lot of points. Only 4 wins in over 22-point games. So what that's telling me is that you're playing a lot of teams, and your record of 32-2 at halftime is telling me that you're playing a lot of teams that can't put the ball in the end zone. And when it does come to playing those high-powered teams, and he's been offensive coordinator a lot of the time, that you can't find ways to score. That's very telling, especially going into this season where we're playing a lot of high-powered teams with great quarterbacks who can put the ball in the air, who can put the ball in the end zone, a lot of talented receivers, a lot of high-powered offenses. That's something that concerns me about Bill O'Brien. Will he be able to make the adjustments this season to be able to compete? But that's a terrible statistic. There's no way around it. 22 points or more, and you can't compete? I think we're starting to find out who the real Bill O'Brien is. But let's get into this next stat. This might change your mind, so let's go ahead and get into that right now. Playoffs? You want to talk about playoffs? Well, let's talk about playoffs. Of the 5 seasons that Bill O'Brien has been a head coach of this team, and not counting now because the season hasn't started, he's taken this team to the playoffs 3 times. Has had winning records 4 of the 5 seasons. And you're like, wow, that's pretty good. But let's talk about that playoff record of 1-3. And the lone win came against Connor Cook and the Oakland Raiders. Connor Cook has not seen action in an NFL game since then. That was his rookie year. Connor Cook has not seen action in an NFL game. I don't even think he's really been on a roster since that game. So that tells you about who Connor Cook is and what he brings to the table. That's Bill O'Brien's lone win in the playoffs. We know how the playoffs ended last year by getting demolished by Andrew Luck. And, congratulations on making a tough decision by retiring. I have nothing but respect for Andrew Luck, but you Colts fans are terrible. We've seen what happens against the Patriots. We've seen what happens when you go against a team with a capable quarterback. Bill O'Brien just cannot compete. Connor Cook, that's the one playoff victory that he has. That's what is on his resume to go along with all these other statistics. Playoffs is when it counts. Playoffs is when it matters. If you're trying to prove that you belong in the upper echelon, if you are trying to prove that you belong with the best of the best, well, the best of the best are in the playoffs. And he has shown that he is incapable of securing a quality playoff win. Of the 3 times that he's won, the one win was against Connor Cook. That should tell you a lot. Now, I told you, I always say 5, but, I always throw a little bonus in at the end of each and every video. So we're going to have the bonus coming up now, something I think a lot of you are going to find funny. This is something we talk about a lot when it comes to Bill O'Brien and a tendency that he has. But let's go ahead and get to that right now. Why waste the time? Let's go get it. Hey, man, before we get into this bonus, last minute little last stat, Make sure you follow Salt Sports on all the proper social media. Salt Sports HTX on Instagram and Twitter. Salt Sports at Facebook. Go like the Facebook page. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't. This is the freshest flavor in H-Town sports. Again, make sure you go to saltsports.tv. Subscribe to the alternate Salt Sports channel for more Rockets talk for the upcoming season. We're going to get some Astros talk there. We're going to get a little soccer. We're going to touch on a lot more of the city. Got a lot of things in the works, so make sure you go there. But I know a lot of you are like, oh, this is super negative about Bill Obrien. You're just a Bill Obrien. I was a Bill Obrien supporter. I was probably if you watched the roundtable last year, when we went 0-3, I still supported Bill Obrien. I supported Bill Obrien when everybody was wearing clown noses and saying, fire Bill Obrien. All the way up until that last playoff game is when I realized that Bill Obrien is not the guy. And I think these statistics prove it. Now, if you want to plead your case, you want to justify why you don't agree, man, hit that comment section below. I try to reply to all the comments. Let me know below why you disagree with what I say. But if you do agree, let me know why you do agree. Because I could have talked about his winning or his all-time record versus winning teams over 500, like 13-31. I mean, you could talk about a lot of other things which aren't that great or that don't paint such a wonderful picture of Bill Obrien when it comes to his head coaching tenure as a Houston Texan. Again, it is what it is. We can't change these things. We will see what happens. But hey, man, I'm not going to waste too much time with that. Hit that subscribe button and become a fresh ingredient. Let's go and get to this bonus tape right now. So, this last little bonus statistic. Bill Obrien, in his previous 5 years of coaching the Houston Texans, has issued 30 challenges to calls on the field. Of those 30 challenges, he is under 500 when it comes to getting those calls overturned. Right at the brink, though. I mean, very close. He's had 16 that were upheld, 14 that were overturned. I think most Texans fans know when Bill Obrien throws the challenge flag, whoever's supposed to be relaying this information or whatever he sees, it's generally a little less than 50% of the time he's going to get it right. And a couple of those he might have got lucky that did get overturned. So I just kind of want to share a small stat to end it on a little bit of a lighter note when it comes to Bill Obrien. But I really want to know how you feel, man. Hit that comment section. Let me know below what you really think. What is the real Bill Obrien? Who is the real Bill O'Brien? Let me know your thoughts. But with that being said, I'm gone.
Perfect.